Hello, today I'm going to tell you about a case that took place back in the 1990s. In less than an hour, 7 people were brutally murdered, and according to the killer's confession, his motive was simply to seek a thrill. He wanted to do something big, to chase a rush of excitement. With no clear witnesses or solid evidence, the investigation hit a dead end at one point. So, what exactly happened that day? Let's rewind time and travel back to January 8th, 1993. It was Friday, January 8th, 1993, in the small town of Valentine, Idaho, USA, a place known for its peaceful environment and good security. At 10:30 p.m., snow was still falling outside, and the festive Christmas atmosphere hadn't fully faded away. Around that time, a call came into the police station reporting nothing unusual. The Brown's Chicken restaurant had closed for the night. Maybe Michael, one of the workers, was out somewhere partying, they thought. But by 1 a.m., the police station's phone was ringing off the hook. Multiple distress calls came in. Family members reporting that their loved ones, all employees at Brown's Chicken, had gone missing without any prior notice. The officer on duty sensed something was wrong and immediately dispatched 2 more officers to the restaurant to investigate. When they arrived, the place was dark, the doors locked, and the lights off. Peering through the window under the streetlights, they saw a spotless interior. Chairs neatly stacked on tables, no signs of anything out of the ordinary. They circled around to the back door and gave it a push. To their surprise, it wasn't locked. Exchanging a glance, they drew their guns and stepped inside. The restaurant was eerily silent. When they flipped on the lights, what they saw froze them in horror. Bloodstains smeared across the floor. No one was in sight. The trail of blood led to the cold storage and freezer rooms behind the kitchen. They approached the west cold storage room first and opened the door. Inside, they found 2 bodies. Shocked, they rushed to the east freezer room and flung it open. What they saw was even worse. A pile of bodies stacked on top of each other, all shot dead. The scene would haunt those 2 officers for the rest of their lives. Initial findings confirmed 7 victims, all killed by gunfire. Some have been shot multiple times, others stabbed repeatedly with a knife. The 2 bodies in the west cold room were identified as the restaurant owner, 50-year-old Chad Enderfair, and a 32-year-old server named Thomas. Evidence suggested the killer used a mop to clean up the blood after the massacre, indicating a calm and collected mindset, or perhaps someone very familiar with the restaurant. He knew no one would come by after closing, so he took his time tidying up the crime scene instead of fleeing in a hurry. Investigators found at least 20 bullet casings on the roof and around the victims, likely from a .38 caliber handgun, though its origin couldn't be traced. One odd detail stood out. While all the chairs were flipped upside down on the tables, a standard practice for cleaning, one chair near the ordering counter was upright. This suggested that, even after closing time, someone was still inside eating. Was this last customer the killer, or someone who knew something? The day's earnings at the restaurant ranged between $1,800 and $1,900, but the cash register was empty. This pointed to robbery as a possible motive, but why kill innocent people over it? A receipt from the register, timestamped 9:07 p.m. on January 8th, showed the final order of the night, a chicken combo with 2 small rolls, fries, and a drink. The restaurant had been cleaned thoroughly, except for 1 trash can containing chicken bones, fries, and assorted garbage like napkins. Unsure if it held any value to the case, the police collected and froze it anyway. The Panasai task force interviewed nearby residents, victims' friends, family, and former employees of Brown's Chicken, but no useful leads emerged. The killer seemed to have vanished without a trace. During the investigation, the police made a critical mistake. It wasn't until 2 weeks later that they remembered a 24/7 gas station nearby had a security camera. By then, the footage had been overwritten. Despite a year-long effort involving hundreds of officers, all they could confirm was that the motive involved robbery. Everything else remained a mystery. The case stalled under public pressure and a lack of progress. Desperate, the Chicago police turned to a forensic evidence expert, Dr. Li Suang-nak, a renowned Chinese-American detective nicknamed the Modern Sherlock or China's Divine Detective. On January 28, 1994, a year after the massacre, Dr. Lee arrived in Valentine to join the investigation. He meticulously reviewed case files, physical evidence, and hundreds of crime scene photos, reconstructing the sequence of events. Dr. Lee concluded that the scene matched a robbery homicide. The trash contents aligned perfectly with the 9:07 p.m. order, but only the chicken wings had been eaten. The rest was barely touched. This suggested the customer's intent wasn't to eat. After placing that final order, the killer struck, eliminating all the staff. The lack of significant evidence showed careful planning. He chose the closing hour to act. The last customer, ordering at 9:07 p.m., just 7 minutes past the usual 9 p.m. closing time, was likely the prime suspect. In the U.S., punctuality is strict. Businesses rarely serve customers after hours. Yet, the staff had taken the order and even finished cleaning, suggesting this customer was someone familiar, perhaps an old acquaintance. The fact that only the wings were eaten led Dr. Lee to hypothesize the killer might be black or Hispanic. Cultural preferences, he noted, as white people often prefer chicken breast, Asians favor thighs, and black or Hispanic individuals tend to like wings. The receipt listed one wing, but 2 wing bones in the trash hinted the staff had given him an extra piece, further evidence of familiarity. Dr. Lee extracted DNA from saliva on the chewed wing bones, a cutting-edge technique in 1994. At the time, DNA technology was so new that even the Valentine police were unfamiliar with it. However, the sample was too small to analyze with the era's limited tools. Dr. Lee recommended preserving it until technology improved. By 1998, DNA analysis had advanced significantly, and the police successfully profiled the suspect's DNA. But with no comprehensive DNA database in the U.S. yet, manual comparison was slow, costly, and fruitless. 5 years after the crime, no match was found, and the case remained unsolved. Then, on March 25, 2002, 9 years after the murders, a woman named M. Nocaine provided a crucial lead. She claimed her ex-boyfriend, Derek Ghostkey, and his accomplice, John Luna, were the killers. According to M, the day after the massacre, Ren called her, telling her to turn on the TV. News of the 7 murders at Brown's Chicken was airing, and he bragged. "That's what I did." Soon after, Ren and John shared details of the crime with her, but threatened to kill her if she talked. Terrified, she stayed silent. After their breakup, it wasn't until 9 years later, encouraged by her current boyfriend, that she reported it to the police. Initially skeptical, having sifted through thousands of useless tips, the police perked up when M described a detail never released to the public: a bloody mop used to clean vomit mixed with fries. She recounted how, after shooting a victim who vomited fries, Rin poked the body with a mop to ensure he was dead. This matched the crime scene perfectly. Discreetly, they investigated the suspects. Rin, a Hispanic former employee of Brown's Chicken, fit Dr. Lee's profile. John had an alibi, but the woman who provided it, Lynn, admitted under questioning that she'd lied. Rin and John had paid her $50 to cover for them after the crime. Most damningly, John's DNA matched the sample from the wing bones taken 4 years earlier. On May 16, 2002, after hours of interrogation, both suspects confessed. Rin and John, high schoolers at the time of the crime, had histories of drug use and animal cruelty, known troublemakers in the area. In a 44-minute confession video, John described the night of January 8, 1993. "We wanted to do something big, feel the rush. I worked at Brown's Chicken, so I knew it closed at 9 p.m. sharp, had no alarm system, and I was familiar with the layout. We picked it as our target. That night, snow was falling hard. I went in just before closing and ordered some chicken. The staff knew me. They even let me order past 9 p.m. and tossed in an extra wing because they knew I liked them. As John ate, Ren arrived, locked the back door, put on gloves, and shot a fleeing server who'd noticed something off. They then herded the staff into the cold rooms and unleashed a brutal massacre. John claimed they only meant to rob the place, but resistance sparked their rage, leading to the killings. Yet their stockpile of ammo and calm cleanup suggested premeditation beyond a simple robbery. On May 10th, 2007, John was convicted of 7 counts of murder based on DNA and witness testimony. One juror's opposition spared him the death penalty, and he received life without parole. On September 29th, 2009, Ryn was also convicted of murder and sentenced to life, thanks to M and Weiland's testimony. From the 1993 killings to the 2002 arrests and 2007 convictions, the case spanned 14 agonizing years. The victims' families endured unimaginable grief, while Valentine grappled with a stifling aftermath. Brown's chicken sales dropped 35%, closing 100 Chicago area locations. The crime site, left vacant for years, became a laundromat before failing and being demolished in April 2001. A J Bank now stands there. Many cold cases linger due to technological limits of their time, but that doesn't mean they're unsolvable. There's no such thing as a perfect crime. From a criminal psychology perspective, Ryn and John's actions reflect a dangerous mix of thrill-seeking and impulsivity, amplified by familiarity with their target. Their calculated cleanup and disposal of evidence show a chilling rationality, yet their boast to reveal a need for validation. Classic traits of disorganized yet cunning offenders. Justice prevailed, but the scars they left on Valentine and the victims' families will never fully heal. That's all for this story. See you in the next one. Goodbye.